Camera sync audio. What's up, everybody? Rabid Hedgehog, and I'm still over here at House of Kawasaki on 10th and Council in Oklahoma City, and you can see it right there. That's right, the W800, the standard, not the Clubman type racer they released last year, or Cafe, however you want to say it. I think it's more Clubman, but this is the standard version of it. As you can see, it has a center stand. I like putting it on there, so a bit easier to walk around with. I think it looks better that way too. I love the little pea shooters it's got on there. Of course, this was the bike that back in the day, when Kawasaki was looking to take on the performance bike of the era, they're going after the Bonneville. And that's why you got that very familiar looking parallel twin right there. And the gators, everything. This thing is just retro cool. Wire wheels and all. Of course, with modern amenities like ABS and everything. And some cool little things too. Like having a little helmet holder and everything like that. I kind of like that when you see stuff like that. This is a bike that can go either way. It can be just a nice city cruiser, nice long range cruiser, nice beginner bike if you don't want something that's, you know, everybody else has. You just want something that can go cruising around with. But let's find out and see if that's all true and how she rides. Climbing aboard the W800. Once again, I like how we have adjustable levers on both sides. The clutch is 5-way, brake is 4-way. Very simplistic switches on this one. There is nothing here for frills or thrills. This just has an engine cutoff switch, starter, horn, turn signal, press cancel, and your brights. No flash to pass. On your dash, you got 2 analog style gauges. You'll see neutral, bright, turn signals, battery indication, check engine, ABS, oil. Down here you have regular odometer. You have a trip odometer and a clock. And of course your speedo and your tachometer. Front forks are not going to be adjustable on this. The twin shocks in the back are going to be preload adjusted only. Alright, this is a fuel injected motorcycle, even though it looks old school with all that bevel gearing, air cooledness down below. I'll give her a start here real quick. Look at that little bit of rumble right there. Some character. Now last year Kawasaki released to us the W800 cafe style bike, or Clubman. Like I said, it's more Clubman. I don't believe that's the cafe style quite so. The bars are all wrong and the seating position's a little wrong for it. But that was a great little machine. And this year, they have released to us the standard version of the W800. This one, more upright seating. This one, definitely more standard-like machine, for sure. Regular handlebars, not a Clubman, just a nice straight bar. Narrow kind of bar, too. Little bit more narrow than I was actually expecting, but it's not bad overall. Now the way I'm sitting on it, I'm pretty much straight up and down. From my shoulder down to my elbow is straight. From my elbow out is straight to the bars. A little bit less though on it, going down into it. Little downward motion, I should say. This thing has a lot of character to it. See, the mirrors are waving, some bumps going through there. Of course, this is a classic parallel twin, air cooled, so you get that machine feel. You get that little bit of raw motorcycling back in this, and that's something I can appreciate. Ever since I got my CX500, for some reason I kind of long for the old school. And this thing is just old school cool. Bevel gears and all. And the sound is actually quite nice. It's quiet, but you can hear this bass tone wanting to be unleashed on the world. Just open it up a little bit, and you're going to get a sweet, sweet sound. Oh, there's so much buzzing coming through this bike at around 3,500 RPMs. You can feel it in your seat, you can feel it in your hands, you can feel it in your feet, your legs, but you know, not a problem. Now, like last year's W800, power is adequate. I know it's not the fastest thing in the world. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be old school. It's supposed to bring back the good memories of an old school ride. And you see it takes a little bit of christening of the throttle to make it move a little bit more. You do have to ask a little bit more of it. So fueling, it's a little lazy on this machine. Not as precise as the Kawasaki's of the Z series or any of those. It's more its own thing. Like I said though, it kind of matches that old school feel and charm, which I have grown to appreciate more and more. I love this look so much more. I like the bright red. I like the silver highlights on it. The old big chrome badges. It just goes back to a lovely era. These big giant tank protectors, these rubber protectors. It goes back to this 1960s, 70s era. It's just so awesome. The big headlight up front. The mirrors are really good. They're put out pretty well. I do see my shoulder in this one, but when adjusted, I could see the lanes just fine next to me, so we're good there. Like I said, ergonomics overall, I want a little bit wider, maybe a little bit more further back on the bar, but other than that, good ergonomics. All right, and it's green, and that means go. I just like the way this thing rides. It just puts a smile on your face. It just takes you to a level of motorcycling that if you're not in a hurry to get anywhere, that you're using this as a bike you're commuting with, or you just want to cruise and just cruise and cruise through the city, cruise outside the city, enjoying some life away from quarantine or whatever it might be right now. I know this is a crazy year. But this bike is perfect to just escape and ride with. It's very well planted. The seat, absolutely comfortable. Of course, it's a very long seat. It doesn't have much of a hump back to the passenger side. So if you've got to stretch out a little bit, if you're a little taller, I'm 6 foot tall, 32-inch inseam, pretty long trunk to go with that since my legs are a little shorter. But if you need to stretch out a little bit, you can sit on the back. And now you have a near forward mounted position. But you also increase your riding position to be a pretty nice one too. So, all right, we're testing the main brakes this time. Single big old rotor in the front, disc in the rear. Unlike some other companies that like to take these cheaper bikes and put on the drum brake in the back, the only thing you get is the 5-speed transmission versus a 6, but you still get disc brakes and you get ABS. So you get very good stopping power out of this machine. Aha! We're going to get to play with the railroad track, and we're going to get to go over some bump. All right. Suspension, a little soft, but also firm enough to bounce you off the seat as well. Suspension probably needs a little bit of preload adjustment to handle that for my weight. But this thing handles me just fine. It is not being upset by any means by my weight or anything. It's just a beautiful ride. I'm impressed with it. I mean, it's just, it just feels at home. I just love how it purrs along. 45 miles an hour, top gear, about 2,700 RPM. Transmission is great. Not notchy in any way. It's doing very well. And just like every Kawasaki in the world, the clutch is just butter. I have to hand it. Every Kawasaki motorcycle I ride, it's always the first thing I'll say is the clutch is butter. One finger operation is highly possible. It's not scary. Friction zone, right at 3. So right between 1 and 5, it's right at 3 is where the friction zone catches in. So it's not aggressive or sporty or anything. It's just perfect. Like I said, off the line, it's nothing to write about, but once it gets up in about 2,500, 2,500, somewhere in there in RPM, it starts to waken up, and about 3,000 is when you feel it really start to pull away. Your red line, though, is at 7,000, so you don't have much room to move around with. Man, this bike is just so darn perfect for what I'm doing with it right now. Just a nice cruise. The suspension being as soft as it is, you get a little chatter in the front forks. You get a little bit of squirreliness out of the twin shocks at the rear because they're just a basic old springing type, you know, a little bit old school there, and it just feels right though. I mean, I know that this is not a bike taken out for speed and everything. It's just a bike to be used. And of course, it's got some nice features in the back. It's got some little grab rails in the back and things so you can tie stuff to the back. If you don't have a passenger, you can add in a little bag and stuff. You can throw some bags over it as well. You can get some touring bags or soft bags to throw over. But they can get some little soft bags and throw them over and take this thing out for a long ride because it's going to be very enjoyable. And because the engine's not overly powerful, and of course it's really overbuilt using the bevel drive and everything, you're not going to detonate it. It's going to last you a long time. And you're going to look cool doing it. I mean, seriously, this is the way retro bikes should be. And some of them even bringing back that retro feel, using some retro components, not necessarily the full-out modern suspension, but just doing these nice old-school components, only adding really ABS to the modern list and fuel injection to make it easier to start. That's a way to go. And that's why I like this bike so much more than a lot of these others that are going back to the old days. That's why I like my CB1100 more, because it just added the fuel injection and the ABS. It didn't add all these extra new frills to it. It was just a simple motorcycle that looked old school, that rode old school, that acted old school, and that was perfect. There was nothing wrong with that whatsoever. It just brings you back to a lovely time in motorcycles. And it puts a smile on your face. You get to ride through town on this. You look stylish. It's comfortable. These big wheels, nice and flickable. The bike responds very well. You can do some lean ins. You can see me just moving my hips and my body. The bike is already in command. So the chassis, despite being the old tubular style, is very compliant. No wallowing in it whatsoever. And the weight of the bike is really well handled. It's very mid-range. It's not top heavy whatsoever. It's just neutral all the way around. Like I said, barely any input. I know these aren't the biggest turns in the world, but this bike was just designed for this kind of road. Lazy and easy. Now you do actually hear some buzzing from the back side near the chain guard, so I know the chain guard's a little bouncy. That's no big deal. I think the fit and finish on this machine's actually rather well. I like how everything's tucked in. I like when, like I said, I don't like it when people just take a strap or a zip tie and zip it to the handlebar. That always annoys me. I like when they do these wire guides and stuff. It's just nice little touches like that and price ranges that are not the most expensive that help go the extra mile. Everything looks clean up front, good old cable operated throttle and everything. It's just all tucked away there. These bumps I'm going over, like I said, it's just cruising just fine. Like I said, very neutral. Little chattery in the front end. But I like the ride. I mean, this is just fantastic. This is something I definitely would love to put in my garage, to just take out and enjoy a nice cruise. That's exactly what you need to do with this bike, is just enjoy a lovely little cruise in the afternoon or after work or whatever. This bike just calms you down. It's so lazy that you'll get on it really mad, try to put your wrist into it, nothing's gonna happen, but then it's just gonna sing a lovely little song to you as you ride, that it'll just mellow you out. That's what it's doing to me right now. Control surfaces are really easy to reach. Like I said, these brakes are adequate. They do very well. Good modern stopping power. You can still see after we warmed up, the character is still there, and I don't care. Like I said, this paint is beautiful too. It's a really deep red. The overall look, just the chrome, the old school bracing on the fender, the wire wheels, everything just looks right. All right. Like I said, you're going to be able to actually get down and dirty. This bike has really good ground clearance, so it would be able to go through. And of course, you got the wire lace wheels, and you're going to have tubes. You're not going to have radials, so you're going to get a little wallowy if you're trying to take the canyons too fast. But if you're just going to ride this bike for what it is, a cruising standard, you're going to be darn happy. All right, so we're top gear now. We're approaching our highway speed. Highway speed's coming at around 41 to 4,200 RPM, so 70 miles an hour. There is quite a bit of buzzing going on. We're a little bit more than halfway to our red line, and you can definitely feel this engine going through the pegs, coming up to the bars. You can see it in the mirrors. You can see maybe a little bit that Tahoe behind me is shaking around a little bit in there. So you do get kind of a picture modification. But the thing is even if you slow down a little bit, you pull on it, yeah, it takes a little bit to gain just 5 to 10 miles an hour, but it doesn't change the tempo of the buzz. It stays the same. It's kind of up there and it just kind of remains. Not getting any worse or any better. It's just there. So it's not struggling. It's doing this just fine. And up on the highway, we got very strong south winds. I'm not being moved around whatsoever. Just a nice planted ride. And compression braking on this bike is fantastic. So just backing off the throttle, this bike starts to slow down very nicely. And downshifts and upshifts, like I said, this transmission's not notchy at all. It is old school, kind of clunky, so it has a little bit sharper thunk than your typical Kawasaki transmission of today, but it shifts really well. And like I said, everything is smooth because this bike is just so predictable. You can smoothly do your throttles, you can smoothly do your bumps, you can get everything and do everything nice, and it allows this bike to feel precise. I hope you got a little bit of that noise coming from it right there as I went under the bridge there. Like I said, it's subdued, but it sounds like if you just touched it enough, you know, took a little bit out of the muffler, like took the baffle out or something like that, it would sound darn near perfect. It's got a very good sound to it. Now that we've gotten this thing up to heat as well, of course it is air cooled. I have my foot, because I always stop with one foot down, one foot up, so I can have the light still. So you can see there's your gearing and everything's there. I do feel heat coming off that side there. And it's coming up right at around the shin level and all that. Something I don't feel while in motion. It is only while sitting still. So just pull your leg back like that and no longer feel it. Alrighty. Now we get to actually accelerate up to speed here. See that chatter in that front end on this rough road. A little bit of noise in my voice too. But it accelerates nicely to American interstate speeds of 70 miles an hour without any issue whatsoever by end of ramp. So you do have adequate acceleration. It's not the fastest bike in the world. It's not going to rocket you into the stratosphere or anything. It's going to get you there, and it's going to do it reliably, and it's going to do it in a very cool package. Like I said, this is one of the best retro rides I've ever been on for the sheer fact that it feels like a retro ride. It very much well reminds me of my 41-year-old bike, and there's no problem with that. It makes me feel more connected to the machine, and that's what motorcycling used to be. We used to feel connected to the machine and the road at the same time. And a lot of this new stuff, you know, you get a lot less feel of the road and the wind and everything going through you as everybody wants to be more comfortable and, you know, creature comforts and stereos and all that. That's not what motorcycling is always all about. I can understand needing it for the long range, for the fun roads, for all that sometimes if you're on these long trips. But when it comes down to it, it never hurts to have a motorcycle in the garage that's a perfect machine like this that's so well rounded, that's great for going around town. You can get into the city using the interstate if you live a little bit further out. You can get into the city using stop and go traffic, and it's going to handle it just fine. It's very light, it's very easy to hold up. Heat is not going to be much of an issue. Like I said, I feel just a little bit, but if you adjust your foot position ever so slightly on the peg, if you're a 1 foot stopper like I am, then you're not going to have any heat anymore. It does not appear in movement at all. And like I said, these brakes are adequate. They're very good, actually. You can see this thing diving very hard. That massive front brake hauls this thing down. I'm very impressed with this one. This one I would take over the Cafe one every day. And it's just because my riding style fits this bike. And that's the big thing. They released the Cafe version first, which is overall a great bike by itself. But this is a bike that I would ride this for long distances, just to go out and get away and just ride and just feel like I'm back in the 70s, just feel like I'm back in the 60s in the way this thing rides. This thing is awesome. It is by far one of the most well-rounded cruising type bikes there is. It's not super powerful. It's not loud. It's nice, and it's overall just well balanced and quiet. It buzzes right along, literally. That's not a big issue at all. But right now, I couldn't be more happy. I'm riding a motorcycle, and it feels like a motorcycle. And that's how it should be sometimes. Sometimes you don't need all the latest and greatest tech. You don't need 5 power modes. You don't need electronic suspension. You just need 2 springs, a fork, and an engine strapped to a decent chassis. So that way you can go ride and enjoy and have a great time. And that's what the W800 is going to bring you, is the best nostalgic experience on a motorcycle that you can get in 2020. For sure, for real. I'm very, very pleased with this bike and the way it feels, and the fact that it does indeed, except for, better fueling and some other things, feel like the 1960s and 70s. So at any rate, this is the Rabid Hedgehog. Once again, we're riding out of House of Kawasaki. We're at 10th and Council here. I'll put full details for them down below. Remember, if you're contacting them, talk to Ricardo, talk to Doug, tell them Rabid Hedgehog sent you. At any rate, keep that shiny side up, folks, and we'll catch you on the next review.
Hey, what's up everybody? Rabid Hedgehog here, and I want to thank you for watching our videos. If you like what we do, please smash that subscribe button, hit that bell, so that way you can receive notifications when our latest videos are out. We also want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Law Tigers, Motorcycle Lawyers. These guys right now are out there riding with you. However, if something happens, they are not ambulance chasers. They want you to give them a call or visit their website. They're at 1-844-533-2913 24/7 and at lawtigers.com as well. If you're in Oklahoma and you're looking for insurance to protect your home, auto, motorcycle, or commercial, give Derek Enloe and Associates Insurance Agency a call. He's at 405-261-1010 or www.enloeinsurance.com. Also, for protecting our engines, we have Doug Crawford with USA Synthetics selling AMSOIL and protecting our engines. He's at www.usasynthetics.com or 405-388-6170. Thank you to our partners for keeping us protected and keeping our motorcycles running strong. At any rate, thanks once again for watching. Have a great day, and keep that shiny side up.